If you're relocating to Salem, Oregon, do not make the same mistakes that I did. When I relocated to Salem with my husband, we had romanticized how great Salem was. Just like you, we hopped on the internet, we Googled, and we watched so many YouTube videos all about Salem. But the one thing that those videos didn't talk much about was the negatives of living in Salem. So let's talk about life in Salem from an outsider's perspective. When I was doing my research online, trying to learn all about Salem, Oregon, and if it was even a good place to live, nobody was talking about the negative aspects of life in Salem. So in this video, I'm going to give you my honest assessment as somebody who's relocated to Salem from somewhere else, what my biggest pros and what my biggest cons about life in Salem actually are. I've made a few different pros and cons video about living in Salem. So in this video, I'm gonna try really hard to hit upon some of the more unique pros and cons of life in the city. I can tell you right off the bat that Salem is not gonna be the right city for everyone. So you're gonna learn the pros, we're gonna talk about the cons, but most importantly, we are going to talk about why you might not actually like Salem after all. If we haven't met yet, my name is Clarity Odd, and my real estate partners and I want to help you relocate to Salem successfully. All right, now I've left you hanging long enough. So I'm gonna start with the top cons of life in Salem, because if any of these are deal breakers for you, there's no point in telling you about the things that I absolutely love about Salem. Con number one on my list is the fact that Salem is a small provincial country town. Do not let anyone tell you otherwise. Yes, Salem actually has a population of around 200,000 residents, but in my humble opinion, it is a dang town surrounded by farmland, and it shows. If you're somebody who's wanting that big city energy of a place like Portland, you are going to be very bored in Salem, because the level of entertainment and the things to do in Salem, it just does not compare to big city life. Now you might be thinking that, you know, having Salem be a small town and having that small town vibe, it's not that big of a deal. But when I moved here, I was caught off guard. I thought, well, heck, Salem has about 200,000 people. That's a lot of people. There must be a lot going on, and I wasn't prepared for that slower type of life here. That's why this point made my con list, but this might actually be a really good thing if you're somebody who doesn't want those big city vibes. The other part of this kind of small town vibe in Salem is that honestly, it can just feel pretty boring sometimes. I personally love to go out and do activities with my husband and go on date night and try new experiences, but I found it pretty darn frustrating to try and figure out a fun date night for us. And I feel like we have 5 different activities that we do, and then we just keep cycling through them because I can't figure out any other activities that are available. My perspective is coming from, you know, my life in Portland, and I'm used to a lot of stimulus and a lot of activities. So this might be kind of an unfair assessment on Salem, but I don't know. Go down to the comments. Tell me if you think this first con is a fair assessment, or if my bias is getting in the way too much. Con number 2 on my list is very similar to con number 1, but it's the fact that there really aren't very many good restaurants here. I do want to highlight the fact that there are some really amazing food carts here. So all throughout the city, you're gonna see that food carts are in gas station parking lots, in strip malls, pretty much in the most random places you look. You're gonna find that half of the time they're not even open, but if you do get food from these street carts, you're gonna find that they are phenomenal. Some of the best food in Salem, I personally think, actually comes from those street carts. My favorite one is actually this fried churro one that's stuffed with chocolate, and it's like a moving food cart, so I can't really figure out its schedule. Sometimes it's at this one gas station that I go to in the evening, sometimes it's not, but when it is there, there is always a long line, there's music playing, and it just really feels like there's this fun churro party party going on. That aspect of food in Salem is excellent, top notch. But this con specifically, I am talking about sit-down restaurants. I feel like this is a part of Salem that's really lacking and has incredible potential to get better. The restaurants in downtown Salem that you're gonna see come up time and time again and mentioned by people are gonna be Ritter's, The Wild Pear, Rudy's Steakhouse, and the Cozy Taberna. Maybe I'll throw an Archive Coffee in there. I think that these are all restaurants that could probably qualify themselves as like nicer restaurants in Salem, but the only one that I end up going back to with my husband is the Cozy Taberna. I think the Cozy Taberna is the best restaurant in Salem because the restaurant tours actually come directly from Portland. The caliber of food that they create at that restaurant is just, you know, the same caliber of food that you would find in Portland. So if you're somebody who loves the type of food that you can find in Portland, Salem does not have that caliber of food. Like I mentioned before, I feel like it is getting a little bit better, but you definitely shouldn't hold your breath if you're a foodie and expecting grand food adventures down here. Number 3 on my list is one that I actually haven't ever talked about because it is just so far removed from daily life now that I completely forgot it was an issue. Before I get to this con, go down to the comments and tell me where you're watching this video from. There's absolutely zero good shopping in Salem, and I am not talking about grocery shopping or anything like that. I am talking directly to you ladies who like to go shopping and enjoy the relaxation that purchasing beautiful clothing can bring you. You're gonna find that there are a lot of derelict malls here in Salem that used to have good shops, but you know, pretty much everywhere around the US, malls are dying, and we used to have a Nordstrom's down here. That was way back in the day. It wasn't here when I moved here 5 years ago, but I do know that there's talk of a Nordstrom's rack coming to town. I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't seen a Nordstrom's rack anywhere, so hopefully it's still planned for the future. The type of shopping that you can expect here is gonna be at places like Target, TJ Maxx, Ross, and don't get me wrong, these are places that I like to shop, but I wanna see some H&M's, some Zara's, definitely a robust Nordstrom's, a Sephora. My shopping expectations, they are high coming from a place like Portland, and I don't even shop in Salem anymore, which leads me back to what I said in the beginning. I completely forgot that this was even something that I should be warning you about because the shopping experience here is so far removed from my brain. I just drive up to Portland to do all of my shopping now. When I do go up to Portland, I like to check out Washington Square Mall or Pioneer Mall or some of the boutiques on Northwest 23rd. If you're a lady or you're somebody who likes to shop until you drop, you are gonna find that you're going outside of Salem to actually make that experience happen. If you like outlet malls, we do have the Woodburn outlet malls, which are about 20 minutes north on the I-5 corridor. There's a lot of outlets there that you can, you know, walk in kind of an open mall experience. I know that it's kind of silly to talk about clothing shopping, and I am being kind of persnickety about the restaurants, but like I told you earlier, when I relocated here, I was so incredibly misguided on my expectations of Salem. I really do want to ensure that I'm hitting the mark and telling you the nuances of the city so that you can make a really well-informed decision about, first of all, if Salem is the right place for you, and secondly, where the heck you're actually going to want to purchase a house here in Salem if you do decide to move here. I mean, that's the whole reason why I've created this YouTube channel and why I started working with and specializing in people who relocate and find me on YouTube, because I understand how frustrating and difficult it can be to move to a new city and not know anything about it. Okay, enough about that. Last con on my list ties directly actually into the relocation process, especially if you're planning a trip out here to Salem, and that's the fact that we have terrible hotels. I will say that we have a brand spanking new hotel in Salem, which is a Hilton hotel called the Holman Riverfront Park Hotel, which is a mouthful. I personally have not stayed there. I have stayed at the other hotels in Salem, like the Grand Hotel, but the clients that I have who are taking trips out here to visit Salem and scout it before relocating, I am sending them to the Holman Riverfront Hotel, and so far, they all have great things to say about it. The ones that have the best things to say about it are the ones that got the riverfront views facing out towards the Willamette River. The biggest negatives I've heard about this hotel so far is that the food is pretty bland, which is okay because it's located right downtown, so you can go to the Cozy Taberna instead, and that there also is a little bit of traffic noise. So if you have any noise sensitivity, I would actually recommend just getting an Airbnb not located in downtown, and you should be fine. Just to put all of this into perspective, this is only the second hotel that Salem has in downtown. We just don't have very many options. And the ones that we do have, like the Salem Grand Hotel, the other one that's located downtown, is just dang old and needs an update. But maybe now that there's healthy competition and another hotel that's competing for business, maybe they'll step up their game. All right, so those are the top 3 cons about Salem. So let's move on and talk about the positive things, because there really are some great qualities about Salem that I think you should know about. I promise this is not a terrible place to live. It has a lot of great things going for it. And if you felt like those cons weren't that bad, then great, these pros are just gonna be the cherry on top for you. Pro number 1 on my list is that Salem has an incredible farmers market. This is one of my favorite farmers markets, and yes, I am comparing it to Portland. I love it because there's great food carts there. Again, the food carts are awesome. One of my favorite food carts at the farmers market is the barbecue place. I can't remember the name. I took some footage of it, so I'll put it up right now. But I got a pound of pulled pork last time I was there. It was so good. That pulled pork did not even make it home. I ate it all in the car with my husband. It was so good. There are gorgeous flower bouquets there. There's amazing pastries. There's amazing fresh honey. There's so much yummy food there. You really can't go wrong with anything that you purchase to eat. And all of the produce is right here from the Willamette Valley. So most of the people who are coming into the farmers market, they're actually farmers who are, I don't know, within an hour's drive of Salem. So you're getting really fresh produce. The other thing to know about the farmers market is if you have a dog, you can bring your dog to the farmers market. I've seen dogs that are massive, like Great Dane size. I've seen little Chihuahuas. I've seen ones in wheelchairs. Any kind of dog is welcomed there. I would say that it does get a little bit crowded, so definitely make sure that your dog is one that's good around people and a lot of activity going on. The farmers market's located right in front of the Capitol building, and there is free parking in a vacant parking lot that is usually reserved for the government buildings right there. So it's really easy and convenient to just pop into the farmers market. You don't even have to pay for parking. You can have your doggo right there. You can get all of your fresh produce, and voila, then you can go back to your home or your Airbnb if you're just visiting. But if you are here on a Saturday, definitely visit the farmers market and get yourself some delicious scones from the Bodie Bakery. I almost forgot to tell you my favorite stand there. So yes, I love everything sugar, baked goods. Check out Bodie Bakery. But if you love mushrooms, there's a mushroom man there, not the psychedelic kind, sorry, just the regular kinds, but he grows mushrooms in his farm or home farm, I don't really know. But you can get things like lion's mane, shiitakes, not morels because he farms all of them. So what else does he have? Oyster mushrooms, trumpet mushrooms. I feel like I'm missing a few, but they're so good. You can get like a massive bag from him for 25 bucks. And of course, you know, butter and garlic and mushrooms, a delicious meal right there. The second pro on our list is the fact that Salem is in a perfect location for outdoor adventures, but also still being really close to things like the Portland International Airport, the beach, the mountains. We really do have it all here in the Willamette Valley in Salem. So if you're somebody who likes to travel and you are going to be dependent on the Portland International Airport, that airport is going to be north by about 45 to an hour and 15 minutes depending on traffic. Salem does have its own airport, but it's not one where commercial flights fly in. Having said that, if you do have a private jet, you can definitely go into the Salem airport. It is a really great and easy airport to get into in your plane, but also it's really conveniently located close to downtown Salem, so it's really a good location to just get anywhere else in Salem. If you don't want to drive up to the Portland airport or you have in-laws coming to town, Salem has a really great shuttle system that starts from the Salem airport and goes all the way up to PDX, the Portland International Airport, and I think it's like $20 per way. But personally, that is how my husband and I, when our in-laws come to town, we just tell them to hop on that shuttle. Super easy, super cheap, and it saves us the hassle of getting stuck in traffic and coordinating our schedules. Salem is located in the Willamette Valley, which means that it's just about an hour to an hour and a half to the coast. You're about 2 hours away from Mount Hood, the mountain. You can go down to the high desert, which is the Bend, Oregon area, and that's only about 2 hours away. So we really do have all of these different types of seasons and landscapes that you can get to really quickly, which is great for people who love to be outside no matter the season. One of my favorite things to do in the summer is to head down to Detroit Lake, which is in between Salem and Bend, and it's a lake where you can throw your pontoon boat on there and just have a really relaxing 4th of July. It's a great spot for actually your friends to own a boat because you never want to be the one who owns the boat, but it's a really fun place that's only about 2 hours away from Salem. The other great thing about Salem, which I kind of touched on earlier when I was talking about the farmers market, but Salem is surrounded by so much agriculture. You're gonna find things like hopperies, which means we grow a lot of hops here in Salem for beer. We have a lot of vineyards, so you're gonna find world-class wines are just about 20 minutes away from your doorstep, so you could go on all of the vineyard tours that you want. This is especially true if you live out in West Salem. You're gonna have really easy access to vineyards out there. Now, okay, getting back to the farms. One of my favorite aspects about Salem in the summertime is that you can go and pick berries at a lot of different farms. They'll set up the kind of you pick situation, whether that be peaches, raspberries, strawberries, blackberries, huckleberries, boysenberries, cherries, blueberries, salmon berries. There's a lot of berries out here that you can pick. It's really fun. It's really cheap. You end up paying about half as much as you would in the grocery store, and the quality is just so good. I have a bonus topic that I want to talk about because I didn't want to put this definitively on the pro list or the con list because it's kind of a relative one, and that's the cost of living. I'm finding that I'm working with a lot of relocation buyers. They're calling me, they're telling me exactly what they want, and a lot of times they're coming from California, Seattle, the East Coast, and they'll say, oh my God, the cost of living is so dang cheap here. The real estate is so cheap. So that's why I'm putting this on the kind of pro-con list, because it's totally relative. The cost of living in Salem is relative based on where you're coming from. Generally speaking, yes, the cost of living in Salem is significantly cheaper than a place like Portland, which is 45 minutes north. You can get a bigger house here for less money than you could in a place like Portland. I'm actually seeing a lot of people who are selling their house in Portland and moving down to Salem because they can get a bigger house, and then they're just commuting back into Portland, hop on I-5 for 45 minutes, and voila, they have a bigger house and a 45-minute commute, which a lot of people don't mind. I said it earlier, but I'm gonna say it again because I think it is just that important. When I first moved to Salem, I wish I had this information. I wish I'd known all the nuances of the area. Hopefully I can help you avoid making the same mistakes that I did when I first relocated here. Reach out, schedule a one-on-one consultation so that we can help you find the right area of town based on your needs and your lifestyle. If you haven't already, pause the video in just a second and jot down this number. Give us a call, set up a time for a one-on-one consultation because we want to help you just like the other people on YouTube who are reaching out to us. And that's it. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? All right, bye friends.